Hey guys, welcome back to Seller Sessions, 4 p.m. BST on a Tuesday afternoon. Today again, flying solo, we'll be doing part 2 in the series of Inside Seller Support. I'm just going to allow a few people to come into the room and then shall get going in a moment. If you have any questions, of course, just drop any questions you have before we start in the into the comments, and we'll get started shortly. Just wait for a few more to come in. As said, anyone got any questions, just let me know about those in the chat and we shall get started shortly. Okay, just let a few more come in. Okay. Right, so what I'll do is I'm going to recap on some of the elements last week. We're going to talk about some new announcements inside as well from bulletins. Some information on the captive team, because I know a lot of people have been asking me, does it exist, how it exists, and that kind of stuff. So I've got a full breakdown on that as well. All right, so let's just get started then. So kicking off a roundup from last week. So some of the key points are covered last week, but more detailed in bullet points now is all tickets are allocated around 18 minutes in terms of what they get in terms of time to spend on those tickets. Now, these tickets are also summarized into the group because everything has annotations for people internally to be able to review these, all done in English. So I'll come to that point again in a minute. So all tickets are annotated and summarized in 4 components. So PAA, PMA, resolve, reply, and keep working. PAA is pending Amazon action, and then PMA is pending merchant action, and obviously resolved and reply, keep working. You fully, clearly understand. Again, if you're fluent in English, but you're, say, based in Spain or Italy or one of the smaller markets, it's more advantageous to switch your settings to English and raise all your tickets in English, because across the board that will be much easier to get your tickets resolved rather than speaking a niche language. You want to make sure your tickets are keyword rich, give them a great chance of reaching the right department. I'm doing a breakdown towards the end of the show on that. Also, never reopen the same ticket without editing the text. Effectively, if your ticket gets closed and it's unresolved, it will get caught in a loop. If you keep reopening and republishing that same ticket without any changes, it's going to still hit the same loop. So it makes sense to make adjustments to that. Number 6, contrary to popular belief, tickets are manually handled with AI suggestions, not autoresponders. So the junk that we normally get back quite fast, it seems like it's an autoresponder, but the Paragon AI software that they use, they give them a series of suggestions. So the associate would sit there and decide which of the suggestions they'll choose to send back. So just to be clear, it's not auto response. Also, as long as the case warrants it, the support associate can access your Seller Central account. Now, this is really important because they can go into your account and look around and root around for issues, but they also have protected by fingerprint technology, because obviously you've got a lot of distributed teams. So those that working at home, you think their families and stuff around them, we have to make sure that our Amazon accounts are fully protected, but they're only allowed to have access to those accounts when a ticket is raised against that account and it warrants that reason. When raising the ticket, which is an obvious one, we kind of covered this week, last week, request a callback and a reference to ticket, or just phone in and use the instant chat to start to build rapport. Now, the other thing here, just go back, correction on the captive team. So we know about this captive team. People say, you know, go to Costa Rica, this, that, and the other. And it's been spoken about for a number of years, right? So to break down captive team. So captive team is the IIDP team. IIDP team is incorrect information on detail page, the catalog team. So IIDP is the name across the markets. It doesn't have a dedicated phone number. So if you, for instance, ask for the captive team in Europe, that's just going to fall on deaf ears. So going back to the point, there's a point where information is captive and stuff becomes unresolved, but there isn't what you call a captive team, because the captive team is the IIDP team, which also is the catalog team. So what they handle, this is a breakdown on what they handle: ASIN merge, catalog change, catalog refinement, node change, update location in catalog, variation updates, product weight updates, image updates, description updates, size chart updates, bullet point updates, keyword updates, tile updates, and other IIDP issues. Also note that most listing issues are related to the catalog, which is the IIDP team, and just kind of make it clear of what this is. But when it comes to something like a brand name change, then that will go to the brand registry team. So what happens? How do they become an IIDP? Well, IIDP is a module and a skill that a tier 1 associate will learn once they reach a certain level in their training. Often this area is so complex, the associate has to go through a ton of SOPs and ask the seller for more information. So going back to the point, catalog and IIDP are the same thing. In human language, they're taken about anything that relate to the catalog topics, issues that are handled by these said skilled associates. So that kind of covers the area of the captive team and what that means and the universal language inside. I think the key thing for me about these shows is how do we as sellers, service providers, etc., are able to communicate with Amazon using Amazon's language rather than our own Amazon FBA community language, which a lot of these people will not understand. So go back to the frustration button I mentioned last week. There's a rewrite on this, and again, what will happen is sometimes I have to recorrect the path, but these are some more notes that I've got to go back to this breakdown of the frustration button from a perspective of associate insight. So Amazon has a normal ticket, an SLA, a service level agreement to respond in 12 hours to at least acknowledge the case is received in good order and it's been worked on. The seller has a button called urgent at case creation. If the seller pushes the button, they will ping the system, aka a 911, an emergency. What this has in mind is the SLA goes from a normal 12 hours to an unknown number, but a lot of faster response. Urgent messages generally answered this kind of contradiction here, 45 minutes to acknowledge Amazon receiving that it's working on. The following is not confirmed, but can be tried and tested on a reopen a real ticket. The frustration button only appears on a reopen case view, or it could be the Amazon Paragon system generates this for internal associates to make them aware that the case is taking too long to get into resolution. These markers will give a yes or no to a high priority to the ticket to the internal system for assignment. So what I'd like to people to do is check this out when go and raise a ticket and see when the response come back, to follow those instructions to see if that is the case. Next thing, keyword rich tickets. So Amazon uses an AI software called Quatra, and Quatra scans the ticket body content in order to determine the right email queue of where it should go. So if you notice when raising a case, you have the option now to select a predetermined department, which we've always had, sorry. But then the second part is when you open that ticket up or that interface up, it says describe your issue, confirm your issue, resolve your issue, or you've got the option to browse and use the issue to be selected from the memory. So with this in mind, in order to reach the correct department, you're going to need to focus on keeping the ticket readable with bullet points and headings. I know I'm stating the obvious here, but some people get emotional and go on a rampage and write these long War and Peace things. And what you've got to remember now is you're writing a ticket for humans and bots. So you need to focus on, when you think about dealing with a ticket on a logical level, let's just say, you need to focus on one issue at a time. I think logically that it's owned by one department. So don't talk about a PPC issue and updating the title in the same ticket. Make these two separate tickets as they're owned by the relevant department. And then the AI is swayed in your favor to help you get the case resolved as fast as possible. Another thing I should mention here as well, be aware when you raise a ticket on buy box issues and indexing, effectively there's no internal SOPs and all this stuff is confidential. So even with the most advanced associates you've dealt with tickets relating to this cannot help you outside of general lip service. For the rest, an associate, effectively, when someone becomes an associate at Amazon, it's an entry level position. So I think what happens is us as sellers, we get frustrated because it's like, well, I've got this buy box issue and I've had it before, and you keep getting these tickets sent back and you're like, yeah, I know you just cut and paste it. It doesn't make any sense, but it's this, that, and the other. Now with that and something like indexing, obviously there are ways to resolve that, but that is not shared at tier 1, tier 2, or tier 3. So effectively, when we raise these buy box tickets or these indexing tickets, you might give you lip service, but they don't have access to the information to actually give you a warranted answer to those questions. So it probably helps a little bit the fact that when you are getting frustrated with this, is that none of these guys can help you on any level on those kind of things. They might be able to write nice emails back, they might talk to you well on the phone, but there isn't any SOPs to go through. My contact checked inside, and it's all at a confidential level to deal with that. Some announcements that's coming as well. ASIN suppressions in guidelines have changed inside for brand protection. Tomorrow I'm going to do a show on brand protection and a couple of bits that I'll come into in a minute. I just want to pull up, there's one that's coming through. So on the vendor side, there's a new interface being updated for inbound shipments for those who have vendor accounts. What's really interesting though is this one here is the manual video call verification. So launching a manual process, video call verification process. So I think that would make a lot of difference. We know that Amazon operates at scale. So that'll be interesting now when new people coming on the platform to open accounts, if they're able to scale that in a sensible way. They're also updating the requirements of selling food supplements in the EU. Compliance documents from all vendors in food supplements have been determined to be high risk from a customer safety perspective as well. There was one other thing I wanted to cover here. What was the other one? New listing attribute added, medical _ devices _ sales _ channel. This is a new field that'll be optional, but will be a required field as of January 2022 when someone sets up a listing. So that is pretty much it for today's show. But tomorrow let's just pull up my notes here. So tomorrow, yes. So tomorrow I'm going to talk about yanked ASINs and brand protection. So in part 3 in the series, we're going to look at these yanked ASINs, the breakdown on why they happen and what these supports teams do in order to help the seller remedy these issues. We're also going to look at brand protection, including the associate tools and the auto detection of infringement and the opportunities that they have to do auto reinstatement when they've taken something offline. So I'll be back here tomorrow, 4 p.m. BST as always, for part 3. If you need anything, you know how to reach me. Take care of yourself and your family. Much love. I'll see you again tomorrow.